Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and this is the Eve Universe Show. How's it going, guys? It's good to see you here. Glad to be back. Took a day off. I'm very excited to show you why I took a day off. There's a lot of ground to cover. Thank you for the follows. Welcome, welcome. Gather around. Settle in. Before we begin on the big, long journey of everything I've kind of pieced together so far, we want to catch up first on the news. So let's begin with the fact that yesterday, or by that I mean 2 days ago? I don't know, days don't... No, it was yesterday. Yesterday, we received a patch. A kind of a long-awaited patch, right? Like... we knew about this a while ago, and we thought we were going to get it before FanFest, but instead we got it right after FanFest. As always, I've got the announcement post, and I've got the patch notes ready to go, and I've got my client open so that way we can double-check anything that we want to. So, Siege Green is live now. Spirited Capsuleers, Siege Green is now live on Tranquility. This incredible update brings sweeping changes to faction ships, battleships, and capital production with a major focus on dreadnoughts. Starting today, you can look forward to vastly reduced material costs when building these machines of war. All the details are up to date on the EVE forums. Speaking of destruction, destructive might of dreadnoughts, further changes have arrived for Upwell structures across New Eden. All structures have now had their shield damage cap removed, letting you bash through the shields more quickly than ever before, and leading to bigger fights over more meaningful timers. Medium structures have seen an update too, with the Astrahus, Athanor, and Raitaru having their hull reinforcement timer removed. This means that you need to come back only once to destroy these low-valued structures in a big do-or-die battle. There will also be a 25% off select battleships and dreadnought skins from the 10th to the 17th of May in the New Eden store. So if you have some Plex on hand, why don't you get a shiny new dread? Or get your new shiny new dread, a shiny new coat of paint. All these can be found in the Tranquility patch notes. Okay. Well, yes, all ships will... all of the faction stuff will have crashed. That's true, Rushlock. All right, so I do want to, before we go any further, I do want to talk about or show this off because this is actually kind of cool, or at least worth noting for those of you who do like to get skins. Because this deal is pretty good, and it actually has some of the ships and skins that were 19% off just a few days ago for 25% off. So you can see that there is several of the really good Lava Core skins, which I particularly like. Some of them because they actually like, you can see little sparks come out the heat vents. The Kybernaut clade skins are of course amazing. The red pulses on the front of it. These front panels actually have these triangles that pulse based on how fast you're going. I've got that for the Nestor. Glittering Dream is pretty good. But also these Ghostbird skins were gone for a long time. And now they're back. And I think even some of these Rada Sunsets might have been gone for a while. So in particular, if you like these Ghostbirds or the Rada Sunsets and you've been sitting on, or you've been desiring those, like now is the time to pick them up for sure. Scorpion Navy issue, Raven Navy issue, Raven, Ghost, all of the major battleships for Ghostbird, etc. So it's worth checking out, and they're all 25% off. So cool. Now then, let's go to the patch notes. All right. Lots of stuff to go over. Structures and deployables. For all Upwell structures, the damage cap limit for shields have been removed. And, so basically what they did was they just took the damage limit per second and they put it to the total, higher than the total shield capacity. So your damage cap is more than the entire shields in a 20-second window. Good luck. So now you can just bash the shields no matter what. And it can be very fast, especially with medium structures. Even with the increase of hit points. For all medium upwell structures, the whole reinforcement phase has been removed. Now, from the original time that they said, they did add 24 hours. And I like this. They clarified that the timer is not actually set by the attacker, but is still chosen by the defender. It's just the minimum time that is the difference. So basically, if you bash a medium structure in a wormhole, then the next available timer, or the next day at the chosen time, that is at least 2.5 days past this point, it will come out of reinforcement with a wiggle room of about 1.5 hours. So what that means is that if my reinforcement timer is, say, 4 to 8 p.m., right, my local, then if they bash it at, say, 4 a.m., then in 2 days and some change, it will come out and whatever. But if they hit it at, say, 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. my time, then it'll take a whole extra day, because 2.5 full days need to pass. And then the next time it enters into your window, it'll be sometime within that window, plus or minus an hour and a half. Okay. So 2.5 days for wormholes, 3.5 for null-sec and wormholes, or sorry, low-sec, and 4.5 days for high-sec. I actually really would have liked a condensed timer for low-sec, personally. 07 to everybody just coming on. And then for large structures, though, it says defender's next chosen hour after 24 hours. So the reason why this is so much shorter is because large structures, remember, still have an extra timer on top of it, okay? Yes, anything besides a large structure is basically temporary, and you can see it as such. The thing is that, like, the way I like to think about it is medium structures have now become a big step towards bosses again, right? Because they basically function the same way now, sort of. Large structures are a little bit more defendable, but they're obviously a lot more expensive. War headquarters structures have a full hull timer of 24 hours. So this is actually huge, because that means that you can... wait, hold on. Yeah. That means that you can basically... Because it takes them 24 hours to do the war deck, and then they hit you. You've got 4 to 5 days before your second timer. And you can, if they use a medium structure, hit it, and then hit it again the next day. So you've got about 2 days to coordinate with a mercenary or whatever to go and hit their structure to take out their war headquarters to save your structure. That's actually not terrible. I really hope that we see a rise of a mercenary group, or at least more prevalence of more mercenary groups that do that kind of thing. The whole reinforcement timers, obviously mediums have none. For the large, it's another 1.5 days for wormholes, 2.5 for null-sec, 2.5 for low-sec, and 4.5 for high-sec. After giving, yep, this is them talking about how they gave an additional 24 hours, and then they cut the jitter in half. So it used to be plus or minus 3 hours in the original concept, and now it's only plus or minus 1.5 hours. Giving a little bit tighter control for the defender. Then they also doubled all of the shield hit points, but again, they also removed the maximum. So basically, it encourages you to bring a whole bunch of DPS and just bash it real quick, move on. If you are just using a single Drek, then it might take a little bit longer. If you weren't hitting the damage cap before, then it'll take you longer. If you were hitting the damage cap easily before, then it'll hopefully take shorter. All large and extra large has had 25% more shield hit points. They don't need as much of a shield hit point thing. The thing is that one of the biggest fears about this whole timer thing, and we're already seeing it play out, is that with this being the way it is, it's so much lesser of a commitment to commit to knocking it, or at least bringing it into its final timer, right? So it needs to be a bit of a pain in the butt. It needs to get it into a reinforced state, so that way people don't just do it like nonchalantly. Because to the people who are defending it, it's definitely not a nonchalant thing. You know, it's just like you don't want people's like Savon trolling and stuff like that all the time. All the time. But with large and extra large, they already have a lot of hit points as it is. And you have the 2 extra timers. So these are the ones that they more are like, let's set up. I see medium structures, smaller groups that are tighter knit, jumping on and defending their structure as it's being hit into shields more often. And then large and extra large structure owners being large enough that they are going to form up for the defense. So it's like when they say more meaningful timers, those more meaningful timers are definitely happening on the large and extra large structures for those bigger groups. Now, all medium upwell structures have had their structure hit points reduced by 75%. This is just to make it so that it's no longer 2 timers. I thought they also increased the armor, but right, or not 2 timers, but like you now have to grind through twice as much hit points, or twice, you know, both armor and hull. So you had to do your normal 20 to 30 minutes of burring in order to get through the armor before. This would have made it like, because this does have a damage cap, this would have made it so that your timer is like 45 minutes plus. So this kind of makes it more reasonable. It does take longer than it did before, but let's be honest, 90% of the time, the structure lives or dies based on its the capacity to defend and hold space superiority on the structure, not like the actual amount of hit points or time that you have, especially with a hull timer. You either got it or you don't. The stand-up point defense battery module now requires the charges. Mac OS now has skill plans. Didn't even know that was true. It didn't have it. The compression and decompression window now has some small animations added. I will say, having played with it, it does feel like the compression and decompression window has a lot of like unnecessary fiddlies, like the fact that you have to like close it and reopen it and stuff like that. I don't know whether or not these small animations help at all, but either way. Okay, so this is the big industry change. So this is Siege Green, all right? So life support backup units. Now, everything that you're seeing here, almost everything that you're seeing here is related to the new materials that were introduced during the industry changes. And they are reactionables or derivative of reactionables, or crafted alongside those R4 reactionables. You take the R4 materials and you meld them together in different ways, and you get reinforced carbon fibers, and then you use that as well as the other thing to make things like life support backup units, auto integrity preservation seals, core temperature regulators, etc., etc. So while the capital parts that we're going to look at do still require minerals, most of this stuff is about the R4 material. All right. So now life support backup unit blueprints are triple efficiency. Same with auto integrity preservation seals. The input quantity of core temperature regulator. So core temperature regulators didn't have their price changed that much, but they did have their bullshit reduced by a significant amount. Water went from 1250 to 100 units. That's interesting, Frosty. The pod this year does not have any Roman numerals. When the last years it does. I'll have to look at that closer. The capital core temperature regulator, however, so the core temperature regulator is a little bit cheaper. Capital core temperature regulator, a lot cheaper. It went from 250 to 70 units. This right here, this is why capitals were so expensive. Okay? This thing right here, capital core temperature regulators up until now were more expensive than capitals were before. So when your core temperature regulator costs more than the entire capital, how do you pay for the rest of it, right? There's still everything else to put into it. This is why capitals were more expensive, all right? And it is cut by, what is, like a fourth? Or third? Third. A little bit over a third. Right, but that's water. The rest of the materials for the core temperature regulators, the things that made the core temperature regulators so expensive. Sorry, the thing that made the thing that made core temperature regulators so expensive are still in the core temperature regulator. It's just the water, which is basically mostly bulk. I mean, it does have cost. Don't get me wrong, but this is mostly to just be bulk. Programmable purification membrane. These are less. I know about these less. Let's see what these are for. Programmable purification membrane. It is used in gel matrix biopaste, hermetic membranes. No, that's what it goes into. Oh, used for Neuralink enhancement reservoir blueprint, which makes a Neuralink enhancement reservoir, which is used in enhanced Neuralink protection cell and Neuralink protection cell, which are used in capitals. Got it. So capital and super capital doodad. Gel matrix biopaste is in such demand that somehow someone cleaned the entire metropolis market of it. That's actually a really good point. Like right now, if you have these base materials, they'll probably sell pretty darn well as everybody's now like restarting their engine. There's a lot of people that probably didn't have a stockpile. So they're now trying to buy their stuff so they can build their stuff. And all they see is dollar signs because everything was so expensive. And so comparatively now, it looks like it's going to be stupid cheap. Has the loot drop increased? I don't think so. But again, remember the pieces I think are more efficient to build. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So now then, everything, ship materials reprocessing has been updated. So the Drekovic has had its auto integrity and preservation. Actually, all Triglavian and the Damovic, Skybreaker, and Kiki. So frigates and destroyer for Edencom and Triglavian T1 have had their auto integrity and support backup preservation seals requirements cut in half. Right. Screen. Cut in half. Cruisers. Triglavian Stratios. Interesting that the Stratios is set aside from the rest of the pirate faction cruisers. Also, why did the Stratios have more input requirements than any of the other pirate faction cruisers? That's kind of weird. Why does it still have that? Huh. Any rate, Rodiva, Vedmak, and these are huge changes, right? Because it goes from 75 to 19, 150 to 30. So what is that? A fifth? Somewhere in there? A fourth for the Vedmak? Maybe it's a fourth. Yeah, it's about a fourth. Right? No. That'd be 120. Either way, somewhere in there. Stormbringer went, same thing. So, okay, cool. So, a lot cheaper there. And pirate faction ships are now a lot cheaper too. Trigger Neuralink conduits input requirements have been reduced to 4. I think these aren't these the gas? It's a fifth. Well, but this isn't a fifth. This is a fourth. Yeah, so a fifth or a fourth, whatever. Oh, 7 Lord Kalakawai, thanks for that. Make sure to give him a follow too. Yeah. So this is the giveaway, or this is the thing for your gas stuff, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. So when it says trigger Neuralink conduits input requirements have been reduced by 4 or 4. So the amount of units, the gas stuff that's required to build these conduits have been cut by 60%. So there you go. Battle cruisers have had their numbers for life support and auto integrity cut into a quarter. Yep. Navy battlecruiser, a quarter. So Drekovic, both of them, battlecruisers are by a quarter. This is not the requirement to build trigger Neuralink conduits. That's how many are required. So you used to use 10, now you use 4. For battlecruisers, you used to use 20, now you use 8. So 60% reduction in the use of triggered Neuralink conduits, not in the materials required to construct. Right? No. Yes. Battleships. Life support backup. Looks like a quarter. This is big, man. This is actually really big because they took out some of the value in order to put in the stuff for this stuff. Like a lot of the Triton stuff. So cutting it down, this could actually bring battleships to below what they were before the industry changes. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Industrials and freighters, the Orca has been cut by a quarter. The other freighters have been cut by a quarter. Core temperature regulator inputs for the Orca has been cut in half. Trigger Neuralink conduits for Tech 1 freighters have been reduced by 34, so 68%. And trigger Neuralink conduit for jump freighters have been reduced by 68%. Capital Industrial, the Roke Wall now has been cut by a quarter in life support and auto integrity. So all capital input type requirements to construct the Roke Wall has been reduced, aside from the capital core temperature regulator, which remains at 1. So all of these different pieces. Now, all of these different capital parts used to be all 100% minerals, but I believe all of these have now had things like reinforced carbon fibers added to them. I don't remember if they increased the number of these units that were required to build it originally for the industry changes. So, yeah. I also wonder what this is going to do to the price of RCF, reinforced carbon fibers, with so much of it being, less of it being used, with just the same amount of it being produced. Excuse me. Carriers. Life support backup units cut by a quarter. Neuralink units, 68%. Interlink communicators by, 60%. Wait, so they reduced all the stockpiles and then reduced all the ships' production costs by nearly 70%? Well, how does that make sense? So, okay. Yes, they reduced the stockpiles, but they did so by making it ridiculously more expensive, right? So the idea was that, like, no matter how you sliced it, it was very, very difficult to justify building these these capitals under scarcity, unless you absolutely needed to, right? So they didn't necessarily need capitals to be too much more expensive than they were under normal conditions, but for the period of time of scarcity, they also needed capitals to be shut off, as far as like capital, like soft cap on the construction of capitals, right? So they're bringing it back in line with where it quote unquote should be, right? Which is still going to be a little bit more expensive than it was before, but not the it is actually a bad idea to build capitals level of it's more of an indication of exactly how insanely high the prices were set to ensure that people didn't just spam build them. And also remember that the capability of building these resources and the amount of resources that are available to do these builds are also reduced. So even if you have, even if you brought them back to the same amount, you kind of cut the stockpile, and sure, and now you can control how fast it builds back up / doesn't build back up. They brought it down to a level where it's now about stabilizing rather than cutting or growing. All right. It's a good question, though. Dreadnoughts. Life support backup units and auto integrity has been reduced by from 200 to 200 and 400. For all of them, including pirate factions like the Zenitra. So the Zenitra just got cheaper comparatively to other dreadnoughts, right? Because it used to be that it was, so normal dreads got reduced by 1/4, pirate factions got reduced by 1/8, and the Zenitra got reduced by 1/16, or to 1/16, I should say. That's a lot. That's a lot of price coming out of the Zenitra. Trigger Neuralink conduits input requirements for dreadnoughts have been significantly reduced to 16, previously 100. So, Jiminy Christmas. So while these are all like 60 to 68%, this is a 84% reduction in trigger Neuralink conduits. And for pirates, it goes to 92. Wait a minute. What? Hold on. Why does it take less trigger Neuralink conduits to build pirate faction dreadnoughts? For pirates. Oh, per type. Pirates require twice. So it used to be that this is actually pretty crazy. So it used to be that pirate ships cost more than faction ships because faction ships required a set of stuff for their empire, while pirate factions requires the same amount for both empires that it is the pirate faction for. So what they're doing is not only are they reducing it by 98% or whatever, but they're also removing that doubling factor. So now, or not 98, but 64% or 84%. So they reduced it by 84%, but then they also removed the doubling from the pirate factions. So now they both only require 16 rather than one requiring 16 and the other one requiring 32. Or as it was before, one of them requiring 100 and the other one requiring 200. Interlink communicator input requirements for all dreadnoughts have been reduced to 2, previously 5 per type. So that's 60% reduction. Well, I think that they want to put the pressure of the Zenitra back on the capital parts that you can get from, like, the actual Zenitra specific cap parts again. Like, those parts, all of the blueprints crashed in price and all of the materials crashed in price because even if you had all the materials, you still wouldn't want to build the Zenitra. Yeah, that's what I heard too, Riley. All right. So for all non-pirate factions, okay, so then on top of that, here is all the capital parts that are required for it, right? So for all normal, so for all normal T1 battle dreadnoughts, it looks like half the propulsion engines, 60% or like 40% of the turret hardpoints. Yeah, like 40 to 50% cut in everything. Sorry, 50 to 60% cut in everything. Wait, this is the Zenitra and pirate or non-pirate faction. What non-pirate faction capitals are there? Besides the Zenitra. This came into effect on Tuesday. Did the input materials for jump freighters also decrease? Well, the materials that go, yes. I mean, not as much as some of the others, but the the stuff that goes into the jump freighters got reduced, and the amount of those stuff got reduced, like everything else. I'm not 100% sure which ones this applies to, but the Phoenix got cut by 80%. Oh, no. These are different. Hold on. Yeah. So these are two sets of things. So all of them got these cuts. And then the Phoenix also got these cuts. The Naglfar got these cuts, which is bizarre because, oh, I get it. These are based on, I find it funny that the Moros has more sensor clusters, but these are based on tank, right? Depends on whether or not you focus more on armor versus shields and sensors versus computer. That's it. I get it. So the information warfare guys, which would be Amar and skirmishes, Mimitar and Galente, right? Yeah. So Amar and Kaldari would have better information warfare. So computer systems and sensor clusters. I don't know, man. I tried. I'm sure there's some sort of logic, but I don't know it. And then, lesser cuts to the various, or I'm pretty sure lesser cuts to the different pirate faction capitals. Oh, there's a Zenitra. Yeah, Zenitra got cut pretty similarly to the rest of them. Life support backup unit and auto integrity seals have been reduced. Once again, pirate factions have not only been cut alongside, but now are the same. So the doubling has also been removed. Kiromancer07. So the difference in price between pirate faction capitals and normal capitals have also been squished. Because normal faxes got reduced by 1/4, where pirate factions got reduced by 1/8, or 2/1/8, I should say. Trigger Neuralink conduits, basically half. Pirate factions reduced by 1/4, because again, they needed 2. They still need 2, but now they only need 16 of each, to a total of 32, which is the same as normal. Super carriers, same, 400 to 800. Wow. Wait. That's a big difference. 400. So now, hold on. Super carriers now have twice as much as normal carriers or capitals as far as these two go, when it used to be like way more. I'm not even going to try to do the math on that. Somebody can do it if they want to, but it went from 2,500 to 5,000 down to, wait a minute, I can do it pretty easily. So 5, 6, 1/6. Is it 1/6? Just about, a little bit more. It was cut to 1/6 of its normal amount, with, of course, the 1/12 of its original number for the Revenant and Vendetta, which are of course, the pirate ones. Capital core temperature regulators reduced by 1/3 to 2/3. Trigger Neuralink conduits have been reduced to 64. How does that compare? 32. So again, basically supers now cost twice as much stuff as carriers when it comes to the special stuff. The R4 reactionables. Which, were they the same before? No. They used to be, what, 4 times as much, and now it's going to be the same, or twice rather. And then, of course, same. half for interlink communicators. 75 from 125 to 75. That's 75 each. So this would be 150 total. Titans. Yeah, 84%. So when they said that they put in different levers, this is what they meant by that. They're able to not only control like how much things are, but they can control how much things are in relationship to each other without influencing each other's prices that much, right? They can rebalance all of these ships without changing how too much about like subcapitals, for example. All right, Titans go from 25 to 5,000, 2,500 to 5,000 to 800 to 1,600. So Titans are twice again what super carriers are when they used to be the same. Okay, so now it goes, you know, carriers and dreads. What is dreads? $200 to $400. $200 to $400. Okay, so carriers, $200 to $400, $200 to $400. Yeah. So capitals are $200 to $400 of the basic stuff. The super carriers are twice as much, and then Titans are twice as much again when it comes to this stuff. Capital core temperature regulators. So not only do the capital core temperature regulators significantly be reduced in cost, but also the number of them is also significantly reduced. Yeah, this got reduced by a third from 15 to 10. This got reduced by half from 40 to 30 or to 20. All right. Trigger Neuralink conduits have been reduced to 128 from 500, which is still twice. Yep, we're following the trend. Interlink communicator, is it 125? It is. Hey, look at that. And then a cut of 80% or so for most of the parts. All right, made it through the industry changes. We survived, guys. Increase the number of distance. Wait, yeah, we already got through battleships and all that stuff, I guess, because that's all affected by the capital core temperature or the core temperature regulators and the other pieces. Increase the minimum distance away from the control tower. The rogue analysis beacon must be deployed to 30,000 kilometers. People were using the like structures to mess with rogue analysis beacons, from my understanding. So this prevents that from happening. Ship boosters now look a bit better. Cool. New intro movie now starts more smoothly with less stutter. Let's get to no stutter. Improve the speed of loading ship models. This is good. We'll have to, I wonder how much this is going to like impact things. I really wish they would have actually, this note really feels like this should have been like displayed somehow. New player experience, just little fixes to their stuff. Let's see. I know there's a couple of these. There we go. This is the big one. Minimum size of the Neocom has been reduced down to 32 pixels. They should just like put parentheses, "You're welcome, Fonsui," and parentheses or something like that. They should definitely have like the community note next to this one. But let's see. Is there any other? Oh, there is actually one that was a big deal, which is I can't. Where is it? There's one where if oh no, it's part of Photon UI. I don't think that there's too much notable besides that here. In the Photon UI one though, this one's big for me. I noticed this the other day. Stacked windows. Nope, that's not it. Stacked chat tabs. This is what I noticed. If you have like multiple chats in one window, they don't even blink anymore, or at least they didn't. That was very confusing to me for a little while. I'm already very bad at responding to chats because there's no audio cue, but it made it even worse. Because I thought I had it because I was looking over and I was like, oh, no messages. That's cool. Yeah, so that's it. That's the patches. So this is the Siege Green patch. I expect that this is probably the big one for this month, but we may still get some other stuff. I know that we do have a lot of some of the stuff that they were talking about. They specified would be next month at FanFest, and I'm not going to try to pretend like I know those off the top of my head. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for checking this out. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe answer what is your favorite change out of this update, or if they didn't go far enough, what do you think that this patch was missing for you? Is this the end of scarcity? Either way, thank you guys for coming, and extra special thanks to BlackRoseNoble, Serenalin, Syliana Vel'ash, Nephilim, Grendel, MidnightSpaceMonkey, Talking in Stations, and Ebo1337 and Elange, my Immortal patrons. Thank you all, and thank you to them. And until next time, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and I'll see you in space.